Okay, I don't have chat up either, so let me know if anything goes wrong according to them. But I think we should be good to go.
Yeah, I'll let you know if anyone shit talks to you. Don't worry.
Yeah, thanks.
So you want a countdown?
You go for it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, this does not look good. I have like 8 seconds delay on your stream. Okay.
Yeah, don't worry,
I
you're gonna need it.
crashed and forgot to open and close, it's fine. Now we're even. So this category is Spyro 300 egg. It's essentially the old any percent of this game before we found helmet proxy.
It is the,
So how it works is 100 egg is the minimum requirement needed to get into the final boss.
yeah, it's also factually the better category than any percent. If you hear a certain person called Jeremy Thompson say otherwise, he's lying.
So this category is rather similar to any percent in that there's quite a few proxies that I'm not going to get.
Yeah, neither.
Okay, there we go. We'll take it.
Like I can hopefully make up for Boar and all that.
So I don't know how well it was explained in the any percent run, but essentially the way proxies work is you get inside the dead body, and there is a game mechanic that is intended where if you're inside of a dead body, it will expel you out of the dead body because it's like, oh, you're not meant to be there. And there's another intended mechanic where if you're charging, you don't get stopped by dead bodies. So what we do is we charge into the dead body and then glide, or do an X input which glides for exactly 1 frame. And then because that then expels us but we go straight back to charging, we keep the momentum from being expelled and gain a hell of a lot more because we're back to charging after that. Which results in being launched up into the air.
I guess you feel free to explain shit because you're like 30 seconds ahead of me now. Sunnyville went
So
pretty well.
yeah, that what I just did there is something we abuse a fair bit in that all the mini games in this game are stored by going through like portals inside of a level. And for whatever reason, these portals, which also would have been apparent in any percent, which was showcased earlier, bleed like a lot. So the loading zones are just way bigger than they actually like visually are. And so that's where entering the area for this challenge, we like essentially went to behind where the portal is and just hit the loading zone from behind because it extends way past. But yeah, back to this category. It is essentially, like we said, getting 100 eggs. And so that involves doing a lot more challenges and generally just doing a lot more than you do in any percent.
Yeah, if you had to compare it to something, it'd be more similar to 40 from Spyro 2.
Yep.
There's no really way you can categorize it for Spyro 1 because it doesn't really have a middleweight category.
So what I'm about to do here is another thing with exiting area portals where you saw I jumped before I actually exited. And what that does is it carries some momentum out of that side area. And so normally you would fall straight down and need to get up through like another section of the level up to where I just got that egg. But by jumping before you pause and exit, you carry some upward momentum, and you're able to glide out of that side area and get up to that higher area where there's an egg. Which ends up saving running through a whole section of the level.
Do you plan on collecting gems, by the way? Or are you going to man up?
No, I'm going to man up. I do bore in 117 anyway, so you should be fine.
Yeah, don't worry. It's free.
Yeah, until I need to do it.
Best case scenario, we can show off proxy bonking.
Yeah. So what I did there was a sequence of things. The first being a superfly jump, where if you do a certain series of inputs while you're in superfly, you essentially just launch yourself up into the air with the... I don't really know how to explain it, but essentially you use the superfly to launch yourself into the air, which gets you the height needed to go out of bounds. And then the second part of that trick is... I don't need those gems. The second part of that trick is to get the swim in air, where it works the same as Marta showed off in Spyro 2, where planes of water sort of can extend a bit outside of like the riverbeds and all that sort of stuff. And so you can approach it from a certain angle and get swim or be put into the swim state while still remaining out of bounds. And then the third part of that, again, was touched on in Spyro 20%, is that portals that aren't activated are stored directly underneath where they would normally be kept. And so we then get the egg in the homeworld and then go back out of bounds to directly under the Sheila portal. And this stops us from having to buy a Sheila, which, one, you would need a lot of gems to actually buy her, and it forces you into a cutscene which needs to load and just loses a ridiculous amount of time.
Oh, your mouse is on screen, by the way, apparently.
Oh, should be better now. So in this next level that I'm heading into now, and Nerf will be heading into shortly, is Molten Crater, where there's another proxy. This one isn't the same kind of proxy as the one we showed off in Sunny Villa. It's a animation proxy rather than a dead body one, which is somewhat similar in that we move into the space where during an animation the hitbox of what we move into will move into that spot. So we essentially get the same result where we end up inside of a hitbox. We just sort of get inside of the hitbox a bit differently. So I'm death abusing here, which is a backup, which actually ends up saving a little bit of time, where I collect the egg and then death abuse to take me back to the starter level so I get another try at ball.
Yeah, the only reason that works is because you actually get the egg added to your collection the moment you talk to it. But as long as you manage to die somehow before you get zapped by Zoe, you can just respawn where you were before, which in this case is back to the start level, gives us another try at the proxy without losing any time. It's actually slightly faster, but not enough.
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Just
having 2 chances at getting ball proxy is very nice.
I had to go for it as well. Cool. Second try.
Nice.
Did you manage to get any early thieves?
I got both, yeah.
got yellow. I was actually meaning to learn the way you did it, because it seems you get it like more consistent than I did. It's strange.
I get yellow very often. So what we're talking about there is there's sort of a certain way you can approach those thieves that lets you get them, it's I think about 2 seconds saved per thief, where rounding that first corner, if you go at it in a certain way, you can just get the thieves a little earlier than if you have to chase them to the next corner. Because essentially on straights, I believe the thieves move pretty much exactly as fast as Spyro when he's charging, but because they always take the center, around corners is where you can catch up to them. And so if you take the first corner very optimally, you can avoid having to chase them further towards the next corner. So Nerf and I in Seashell will be showing off some different strats. The strat I'm going to go for is another proxy. It's again somewhat similar, but not exactly the same as the ones so far.
Yeah, just don't crash.
Not quite. Where what I was trying to do off of that Rhinoc there is during the period where he's knocked out of his shell, he goes into a sort of animation where he's invincible, and again you can enter where his hitbox is during that animation, and without him actually dying you can get a proxy off of him up to the Sheila area. And I'll let Nerf explain the strat that he's going to go for.
Still gonna actually reach it, because you're quite a bit ahead of me now.
Yeah.
Should point out as well that the sandcastle challenge that he's about to do, it's possible to crash, so hopefully we're both gonna be avoiding that. Oh.
Yeah, generally it's been found somewhat recently that if you collect all or most of the gems, it's very unlikely that you will actually crash. As you saw, I went over the hill, and if you do go over the hill like I did, you start the challenge a bit earlier, but you need to go around the building in a certain way, otherwise you will crash the game.
Yeah, I did attempt to do the other way of getting up to that bit early, but the guy just ran past me, didn't get the shot off. I guess something else to point out though is when you get in the egg, if you press R1 or L1 as you get it, you can just move on the spot. You just stay in the same direction that you are, so you can just turn around and just save yourself turning around. It doesn't really save much, but it's not hard or anything, so you might as well.
It's definitely a neat little time saver.
I believe in the.
So what I'm doing now is Bluto. Oh, you go.
Oh, I was going to say in the task, I think he does manage to fully turn around and keep walking, but
yeah,
I've never done
in the
that
task,
before.
I believe it's like some frame perfect inputs or something like that, where he manages to keep walking, so it saves him a hell of a lot of time. There's a lot of cool movement tech with most of the side characters.
Like Agent 9. Stick around for that.
Yeah. So yeah, what you just saw me do and what you'll see Nerf do is Bluto. It's fairly straightforward, but we do slightly different strats. I think Nerf's works out to be a second or two faster, just in the way he moves Bluto around the arena.
Not if I miss a box. So I have to do a back and fight, I guess. It'll be pretty slow.
Another one of these little time saves that you can do is where I talked before about having momentum when leaving from side areas. You can do that there where you saw I charged forward a bit before I actually paused and left. That, in the same vein, gives you some momentum exiting that tunnel, and just ends up saving about half a second to a second, I think.
Something I've never remembered to do in a run.
So now I'm heading to the first boss of the game. This is Buzz. There's some interesting stuff to talk about in Buzz. So the first thing to note before I even get into the fight, the way Spyro works is if something isn't on camera, it essentially just isn't happening. So we've used that in this fight where Buzz has some attacks where he gets a flame shield and like sort of spits it at you and stuff. And so by facing the camera away from him later in the fight, we avoid those attacks entirely. And then, so you'll see that where I'm turning the camera here. And then the second thing is because the arena, you can see it's sort of jagged edges as opposed to like a smooth circle. So if we stand right on the edge, we get Buzz to sort of get stuck because he'll never like charge himself off the edge. So he just sort of stops on the edge and then you can charge him off a lot quicker than you normally would be able to. And so that speeds that fight up a hell of a lot. God, don't exit level, that'd be nice.
I mean, if you're feeling kind.
So that's the first homeworld done for me, and Nerf is now heading into Buzz as well.
Yeah, just doing my second attack now. Say I'm about a minute behind you.
So this homeworld is going to be interesting as well, where again, Nerfs and my route are going to differ a fair bit. I'm going to be doing bridge swim route, which I get that first egg, move up here, and then I get swim out of bounds. I'm not the best to really explain that. Essentially, there's just a weird thing with that bridge where you can sort of get out of bounds along the edge for it. I assume it's something where they just didn't quite get the collision right with it because they didn't expect you to sort of swim up like against the bridge or whatever. And so while you're in the swim plane you can sort of flop out, and while you're flopping like get swim, and so you move out of bounds, fall out of bounds from the bridge at the same point that you are entering the swim trigger, and you just exit out of bounds with swim as well. So since he's there, I'll let Nerf talk about Icy Peak.
Yeah. The route doesn't just include a trick change, it changes the entire level of the midday. It will be the only different route during the whole run though. Yeah, just the first thing that's going to be going on here is a Icy Peak jump, known as fun jump I guess, because it's pretty easy to fail. You don't really get a lot of room for error. Your jump needs to be fairly on point, which wasn't there. That looks good. I'm gonna get a really bad hover.
So I guess one thing I'll quickly mention about Bird is you'll notice the movement seems really fast. That's because of a movement technique where if you hold both strafe buttons, you won't strafe in either directions, but you'll gain the speed that you gain from actually strafing. And so it allows you to move freely while still having that strafe speed, and it just speeds up Bird's movement like incredible amounts.
Yeah. The thing you see here with the thieves is well, I'm not actually quite sure how to explain. Red one's easy enough. You can get them out of order. You're supposed to chase the green one first, but the red one's just standing up there, which I guess was an oversight because you can just go up and kill him. As to why that makes the yellow guy return if you mess with the camera, I'm not sure, but either way, if you mess around with the camera there, you can just get him to respawn there and you don't have to chase him at all. Another small thing at the end there was just if you jump and charge down, but just tap square so you into the flop animation, you'll just fade out the challenge quicker. So small time save. Oh, I guess the other jump there. It's Not too hard, but again, it's another kind of precise jump. A lot harder on the NTSC version. The jump, if you're playing on PAL, is actually fairly easy due to the different jump heights.
Yeah, it's just that one where on NTSC it's like sort of just makeable, where that like tiny bit of extra height on PAL makes it just that bit easier.
Yeah, it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Should point out, I guess, that if you jump too close to the edge and try to make the perfect jump, you'll actually get a stutter jump, which pretty much cuts the height of your jump in half and makes the jump impossible. So you want to optimize it, but if you optimize it too much, you just can instantly fail. And not much you can do about it.
So I'm entering Bamboo Terrace here. This is where I'm going to get to talk about another proxy. So this is sort of the third type of proxy where we have dead body, we have animation, and we have squeeze proxies. This is a squeeze proxy, which I think the best analogy is from Jeremy Thompson, who says it's like if you take a bar of soap and squeeze it between your hands, it's like it's got to go somewhere, right? And so it just sort of shoots out of your hands. And so in the case of a squeeze proxy, Spyro is that bar of soap. And so you're squeezing him between two objects, and he's got to go somewhere, and so it just ends up shooting him out, where you squeeze yourself between the boulder that they're moving and the wall, and it shoots you up, and you can get that egg early.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny explanation, but it is pretty damn accurate.
So another swim in air there, where just a massive oversight, I think, with that one, where the water plane just extends right to the edge, because the swim animation sort of pushes you up and over the edge. You just get put into swim out of bounds, or out of the swim bounds that they expected you to be in.
Yeah, it is one of the, probably the easiest swim in there if you take just a second to set it up, but even regardless, it's still fairly easy. So, holy shit, that was probably the best boulder proxy I've ever seen. Not bad. I also guess I'm spoiling everything from my perspective, because of stream delay.
It's what we have to deal with right now, I guess.
Yeah. If you guys didn't know.
See, I'm now entering Enchanted. It's pretty much the most straightforward level, or one of the most straightforward levels in the run. You just sort of go through, do the level intended, and then leave. There's not too many eggs outside of ones that are just sitting around in the end of level 1.
Yeah, I just wanted to do like a reminder that Parse was restreaming my run and his run while doing the run himself with fucking Oznet, so he's the beast.
Yeah, not bad. So we just got the 3 rockets here. This shouldn't be too loud, but I guess headphone users probably watch out, because for whatever reason they made those rockets just like 10 times as loud as they should have been. And so now that I've done all that, my route ends up finishing on Icy Peak. So now I get to head there and have fun in probably the hardest level of this homeworld.
I think mine was 2 jump fails and 1 wall glide flop thing fail, so that's your standards for this one.
Okay. So I think you didn't get too much of a chance to touch on the wall glide flop, so I'll touch on that when I do end up getting there.
Cool.
So yeah, starting out the same as Nerf, where you need to do the jump to the end of the level. Nice.
I should point out that while the wall glide flop can be annoying as well, it's much better than the alternative.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a kind of a like a cloud spice thing for 80%, we need to do a spin hover, and it's like insanely hard.
I guess I'll also talk about stairs as well. Stairs are quite... I don't need to shoot vultures. Stairs are quite hard to optimize in this game because there's no real like good way to just get up them. So what I was doing there is... I started jump. Charge gliding for those stairs. So that's a back up there where I got a stutter jump for the jump that we talked about. You can sort of barely make it. So the backup for that is to do a cannon jump, where you put the cannon to a certain point and for whatever reason you can sort of jump off the barrel. So now what I'm trying here is a wall glide flop.
While he's saying you
can see there.
Level leg.
I didn't either. Damn.
Just want to catch up as well, right?
Yeah, that's muscle memory for you. So I'm gonna head back and get the end of level egg now.
It's not actually the fastest route, just improvising.
That's not good. Yeah. So yeah, my main category for this game is 117, and because I've been practicing that a lot for the run I have of that over the next couple of days, I just sort of forgot to get the end of level egg when I ran right past it. So just gonna grab that now.
Yeah, you got a 315 not too long ago, so we'll end off on this one.
Oh, by the way,
It's actually a shame because this run had gone pretty well so far.
I was going to say, you didn't really fail anything too badly, did you?
No.
let's head on.
So now we're heading into the second boss, who is probably considered as like the most well-designed boss in almost, I want to say, Spyro.
Yeah.
It's definitely very interesting and quite difficult to do well. Also has a like small amount of RNG involved in the fight.
Yeah, it's very
It's
definitely
just-
minimal,
Mhm.
and it's mostly
Yeah, the
for the
RNG.
rocks.
Yeah, the RNG just comes in with where these rocks you're seeing now spawn.
It is RNG where Bird will be flying over the arena because he'll need to drop the power-ups, but you can follow him, so it's not really that important.
So with that sort of bad RNG, I ended up getting an extra rock spawn, and so I got 4 hits instead of the 3 that you meant to in a phase. This is a nice little time save.
Yeah, if you get 4 hits in one phase, you can you'll have 2 for the next one, or you can get an extra one for that next phase, and then get 2 on the last one. It's not
It's fun.
It's not always faster, but if you get bad RNG, you need to run around the arena, and another spawn will be coming anyway. You might as well. Like right there, I got the extra red power, and hopefully won't be dying.
Yeah, I came pretty close to that myself.
Alright, we good.
Cool. So this next level is one of the harder ones in the run. There's quite a lot of technical stuff, some of which I won't be going for, and I assume Nerf will.
Are you not going for the damage boost?
No, I am not well practiced enough at the moment.
Damn, dude. Yeah, I'll have to get the sub 3. Sub 250 even.
Yeah. So at the start here, I'm going to give one try to another proxy, which is definitely the hardest proxy in the game. And the firefly didn't even move, so I didn't get a chance, which is a shame.
Just entering now, so hopefully I'll be able to show it off. I'm not sure if Zeus ended up getting it, or Death using for it, but... Oh, nah. It's about halfway up the wall, nothing special.
At least gives you an idea of what you are actually going for. So essentially, what you're seeing now, I'm watching sort of this cutscene of Greta. Basically getting that Firefly allows you to skip right to the end of the level, and in doing that you're able to like not have to watch all these cutscenes of Greta. She just teleports to the end of the level and you don't have to worry about her at all. And now I'm going into Ninja HQ. There's a strat here that saves, what is it, I think like 10 seconds or so?
Something like that, yeah.
Where you can set the bomb throwing guys at the start up in a certain way, which Nerf will show off the setup and everything for them, and get them to throw the bomb, and you can damage boost off of the bomb up to this egg that I've just had to run the whole way around for.
Bit late, but might work. Let's see.
It looks like this.
Cool. First try.
Hey.
Nice.
No, I guess I would have spoiled that again for the stream.
If you see how
I don't know how much delay there is, so I don't know like how much to wait in this.
Too much. It's probably like 7 or 8 seconds.
Right.
So now that's what we're talking about with, I'm entering Agent 9, and this is where things can get a little bit crazy, where the movement tech for this side character is very broken.
Hopefully one of us will be able to do it properly.
I'm sure you pull it off.
No, don't speak too soon. That was not a good start.
I had decent zigzag, but yeah. So what we call that is zigzag, and it essentially involves holding one of the strafe buttons and mashing the other. At least that is sort of the easiest way to do it, RTA.
Damn, that second trip.
It
That was
just
beastly.
sort of allows you to get I don't know, it just like speeds you up insane amounts, as you can like visibly see. And if you're interested at all in like how crazy that looks, like even RTA, the best thing I can recommend for you to go watch is the Spyro 3 117% TAS. Because in the TAS environment, the zigzag that you saw there is just taken to a like completely different level. It's absolutely insane what the TAS is able to do with that.
I think I was quite
So I don't
lucky
know if someone wants
zigzagging.
to... Yeah, you pretty much have. So yeah, if someone in the chat that knows that wants to link it, because it is definitely something that, like, if you're at all interested, you just need to watch that. It's so impressive.
Yeah, TAS is absolutely insane. Okay, hopefully we... No. I did want to try go for last sweep proxy, but messed up the setup because I wanted to get the fodder as well.
Yeah.
Do you go for that?
Not really, no.
Damn.
I've like practiced it a bit, but can't get it very consistently. So this level, for the most part, is fairly straightforward. You go to the end, get the end of level, and you get one more egg that's just sort of sitting in randomly in the level. But it's what you do after that last egg that is quite interesting, where it's the one use of zombie in this run, which is a state where, with pause buffering, or if you're decent, you can just get it without pause buffering. If you pause on the frame that you die and then exit the level, the game doesn't really know how to treat that.
Yeah, it gives you a bunch of properties. Mainly the one we're after is when you do have it, whatever state you're in, whether swimming or not swimming, it gets locked regardless if you touch water or not. So the only beneficial thing for us is to be able to just swim straight up out of the water when we leave the level. And everything else about it pretty much is negative, so we want to die straight after. Because we'll be zapped by Zoe and we'll be saved in swimming. I was going to say, I think you paused the time a bit. Guess you noticed.
Yeah.
Didn't split, did you?
I mean, that's essentially what the habit was.
Just gonna split philosophy.
So, yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. So yeah, getting swim here, as you can see, like it just allows us to swim around the level, go like straight beelines from egg to egg. And another interesting one here is Stubby here is quite an interesting egg where you can get him from out of bounds, but if you no, you didn't just do that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
If you skip the cutscene, you would go back in bounds, and you would need to do what Nerf is doing now, where he has to glide out of bounds because you're not in zombie anymore. You're just like saved in the swimming state. So if you go back under the water instead of being out of bounds, you just you don't have any way to get back out of bounds while swimming.
Yeah, luckily there is a worse alternative where you can go into Honey Speedway because the portals are so close, but yeah, that's not very good either.
Although that's not a worry in this. Oh, actually, it is, isn't it? Because it's not unlocked yet.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah. So Honey Speedway and the portal to Bentley are both stored like right around where Stuvie was there, and they're like actually put really close together. And so there's sort of like, if you screw up slightly, you can very easily end up in Honey Speedway, and that loses a lot of time.
The inputs to get into Bentley are fairly consistent. It's just once you get the egg, you want to just hold up left, and you'll go down and right, I think, or just charge. I don't know, but
Yeah, I just hold up left and then just swim normally with X.
Yeah.
So slowly swim into it.
But if you end up missing that, you kind of have to just like turn around and then
Hope for the best, yeah.
Yeah. It's worth pointing out there that we didn't actually skip the egg cutscene there, because if we did, we would have gotten put back in bounds.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it would be a significantly faster strat. But even with watching it, it's still faster than the alternative, which is getting the egg before fireworks.
Hmm. So now I'm heading into Frozen Altars. I should be able to get another proxy here, hopefully.
Time for your favorite challenge.
So, yeah.
Welcome.
So the start of this level, I'll be setting up a dead body proxy off of this mammoth. Cool. So that allows us to get up here and sort of skip to this egg here quite a bit faster. If you don't get that proxy, you need to like melt an ice wall and do all this other crazy shenanigans. That's not how you do that.
Used isn't.
Yeah, don't worry, Inferno. Both got you covered. Mammoth is one of the easiest proxies in the game. There's not much to it.
Yeah, the hitbox for the proxy is very big, and so it's quite easy to like hit the spot that you need. And now I'm in this category it's not the worst, but in another category it's like really terrible because it can just lose you a lot of time. So this is Yeti boxing. It's like a lot of RNG involved with it. Some people say otherwise, but
It is.
actually you want him to block, but you also want to hit him through blocks. Because how that works is, for whatever reason, you get the damage done from a strong punch with just a jab. So the optimal way to do this fight is to just, like you're seeing both of us do here, is just jab at him continuously and hope that you get block breaks with that.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of my punches just went in through his face. There's not a lot you can do about it. Fast way to leave the area there, you just mash, or no, you alternate down and X. It's the same way to ultimately like change worlds in a Spyro one when you talk to balloonists.
Got every crash so far.
Nice. I think we've only got another spike so far, apart from the intro. I don't think I've ever crashed on this cutscene.
I forgot where I was going and missed the whale cycle. So a neat little thing I'm doing here is if you hold X and square while you come out of that whale, normally you would be locked and you wouldn't be able to move vertically at all. You can only move horizontally when coming out of that whale. But in holding X, it allows you to move vertically as well. And so it's another one of those small little time savers where it just lets you get up to the level a bit quicker.
Do you hold X? I hold square for that. It looks like I can turn
I
it
hold
sharper.
square and X.
It's a bit weird. I don't think I've heard you say it before.
Nitroff was the one that told me.
It did look like we got different angles. I think I'll compare to that later, actually. Oh yeah. By the way, just a wall
I guess, yeah, something to mention is, for whatever reason, or these games, they had to not code all of the collision because like the PS1 just couldn't handle it. And for whatever reason, that wall that we both just went through there, even though you can very easily reach it, they just decided it wasn't worth it to put collision there. So, pretty major oversight, and it makes this level a lot nicer. There used to be a very difficult skip that you needed to do to actually get through this level without having to buy money bags and stuff like that.
Yeah, shouts to Tuval.
And then another thing to note here is mushrooms. We're doing spin jumps onto the mushrooms where if you face away from where you're trying to get up to, and as the name suggests, spin jump onto it, you gain a little bit of extra height, and so it allows us to do jumps that aren't meant to be possible. And the second thing to note is with the mushrooms is Grant, or Breaking You, found a little while ago. If you hold square for a small amount of time as you're getting a bounce off of the mushroom, it gives you a bunch of extra height, and that allows you to skip large sections of this challenge without actually going all the way around.
Looks like we're both having a bit of trouble with the mushrooms.
Yeah. There's also another proxy you can go for here, which it saves a lot of time, but it's rather risky in that when you're doing the proxy, you're like doing the proxy straight over that pool of goop below me. And the thing about that pool of goop is like there's no recovery from landing in it. It just insta-kills you because it assumes you can't get out, no matter where in the blue goop you fall.
Damn, I almost got it as well. It's like barely not high enough.
So yeah, you see Nerf there, like, got a decent proxy, wasn't quite high enough to make it over the wall, which skips getting this cutscene and having to go all the way around. But, and so with that proxy that was barely high enough, he was lucky in the fact that he can still make it back to land. But if you fail the proxy completely, then you're pretty much boned and lose quite a lot of time.
Yeah, in hindsight, that wasn't the smartest thing to do because I do only have one life.
That's it. I'm heading up.
So now we're heading into Scorch, which is the biggest RNG element that is in this game. Essentially, the RNG comes from Bentley. It can give you red rockets, which have 50 ammo, or green rockets, which have 1. And funnily enough, they do the same amount of damage. So you really don't want green rockets, which I've just got, because you can do the same damage with 50, but you can take the fight a lot faster just because you can keep shooting him with the 50 ammo you have instead of 1. We've got a red rocket second try, which isn't too bad. And then the second element of RNG is the attacks that Scorch actually does. So you see this attack I'm getting here, the sort of fireballs into the air thing, is the best attack you want, and you saw there he spawned an enemy from an egg. There are several enemies he can spawn, all of which sort of being slightly different in like how long they actually take to get rid of. So the sun that he spawned earlier was actually one of the slower ones. But yeah, that was a pretty decent fight on my end. It seems Nerfs is going somewhat decently as well.
I ended up letting him get away twice. I did get first favorites.
Cool. Every single cutscene, not bad.
Let's see if I can go for 1 for 4. Cool.
So we're now entering the final homeworld.
I've apparently got a very good console because I don't crash too often as compared to everyone else.
Yeah, I guess we should mention that this game's sort of in an interesting spot where a long time FDS wasn't actually allowed because most of the time it crashed the game. And there's always been a known fix where you can do something with your console and it just sort of remedies the crash after it happens, but it was never allowed because it just seemed a little bit dodgy. But then PSTV was found to be like a lot faster on loads, and so because PSTV is official hardware, it's allowed, but to let players that were still on console sort of catch up, I guess is the best way to put it, FDS was allowed and the fix for any crashes was unbanned. So that's what we're talking about when we say crashes and stuff. It's just certain cutscenes you're likely to crash on, and essentially comes down to RNG, whether you crash or not.
Basically because you're loading RNG.
And so what we've both just done here, hopefully Nerf gets it,
No.
is Jumpy Swim.
Oh, jumping swim, yeah.
Where, yeah,
I did try to get a beaver probably, but I only had 1 life to spare.
where I don't. Okay. Where Jumpy Swim works, where you just sort of push yourself in between that gem that he spawns and the ground that you can stand on. And in doing that, you sort of allow yourself to be pushed up by those two, like the gem and the ground. And from that, you're able to push yourself up and out of the water in the entering swim animation. And get swim in air similar to some of the ways we've gotten it before. What we're both doing here is slide skip, where you can just sort of go off the edge and land on a lower part of the slide, and saves quite a bit of time by not having to go down the whole slide. There's a few different methods here, but they all involve being much more difficult than just going for a standard slide skip.
There's actually 2 ways to lose control after you get the Superfly. You can actually land in front of the area portal, and the guy will talk to you no matter what, and so you'll be able to just walk and get stuck in the side area portal while you get the egg, and then as soon as that ends, you'll be able to just go straight to the area. But it's roughly the same, and you can just risk missing it and lose a bit, or just get a frame perfect weird thing. I don't know how to explain. It's also used in the 117 tasks if you want to check that out.
So what we're doing here is Scorpion Proxy in this level. It's featured a couple of times where Scorpion has an animation. It's sort of a weird one where it's like a mix between an animation proxy and a squeeze proxy. The Scorpion has an attack and it throws its tail down, and it sort of squeezes you in between the ground and launches you up.
I also did go for something there where you can turn around in the cutscene, but it stays a very minimal amount of time. You were soft locking, but I went for it anyway, because why not?
So what I ended up getting a high enough proxy there where I didn't need to go for the strats that normally you would have to. But essentially how it works is you get a proxy up there, and then normally you would take damage. I wasn't watching Nerf, so I didn't see if he did it.
No, I
But
didn't.
you take damage off of that Scorpion, the flame Scorpion that sort of flames through the wall. And so you take damage off him, and then you can glide out of that, and taking damage off him gives you that extra height to get to where we both ended up. Where I had a high enough proxy to just get there, and Nerf had to do the damage abuse.
should point out that you can take damage while doing the Scorpion proxy. So if you take 2 hits before you actually reach that, you'll pretty much die and have to do a slow way up. And not really much to this challenge. It's pretty much a NES simulator. Just hold right, jump and kick.
So there's very small optimizations that essentially just come down to like Sheila's optimizations in hone movement, where you want to do low jumps, you want to avoid jumping where possible. Pretty much sums up her movement, where you can make some cycles with the guys that sort of make the ground hot and damage you. There are some cycles that you can make if you're fairly optimal, which are pretty easy to make in 100 Egg, where you don't have to collect all the gems and kill all the enemies. So just collecting some homeworld eggs here, and then the next level we're heading into is Haunted Tomb. It's quite a cool theme for a level.
Yeah, hopefully one of us will be able to get the quick door skip.
So yeah,
Cool, got it.
just got it there. Nice.
Looks like we're about neck and neck.
Yeah. So the threat there is you hit that button as the door's coming down. You can sort of charge towards it and just flop up onto the door, and then like very quickly, once you've flopped up there, you need to jump up again and just do a normal jump and glide to the end of the level. And it saves about 6 seconds over the other strat, which is letting the door come back up and then... I'm an idiot. Letting the door come back up and then getting on it as it goes up, which is much easier, but it saves about 6 seconds, I believe, to get the fast door.
Did you end up getting a mummy?
I got mummy, but bonked on the
Right.
sarcophagus.
Yeah, there's a proxy there, which for some reason only works on that one, which I personally believe has something to do with like the hitbox with the coffin interacting weirdly, because it doesn't look like you can proxy off any other mummy in the level. But that's pretty much the only one that would be useful in anyway.
Yeah. Nowhere in tanks where Nerf is probably going to destroy me because he's a beast at tanks.
Yeah, like reminder to strafe if you pick this up. Fucking use strafe. It's good.
Yeah. But yeah, this is sort of one of those challenges where everyone remembers it as being like the hardest thing in the world as a kid, which is pretty warranted. It's even difficult, like in a run. As you can see, I'm sort of getting wrecked here because I'm playing poorly.
Yeah, the easiest way to do this challenge is just by strafing, and you'll pretty much never get hit intentionally. It is sometimes faster in opportunities to take damage, so you don't have to like waste time avoiding it. But usually not, and you can just avoid it easily by strafing. It's a very underused mechanic from what I've seen like new runners do. No matter how much I tell them, I don't learn.
Yeah, strafing actually also ends up being a fair bit faster, just as far as movement goes.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit faster than just using directions.
Yeah, that too. It also helps to get used to it because you'll be using a tank for the last boss, and
Oh, I forgot to get that egg.
if the last boss uses fireballs at you when you're on the tank and you don't strafe, you're pretty much going to get hit. So it definitely helps out there as well.
So the first thing to note in this level is window jump, where for whatever reason you can sort of go off that window at a certain angle and get it. Okay.
Oh. Just got instantly denied. So hopefully you'll be able to show off the proxy.
I'm having a terrible run through the level as well.
So yeah, this is a route you would do in a like 2014.
Yeah.
It's a little
Essentially,
tiny
what we both went for there was an axle proxy. I got a tiny one, and it sort of like knocked me over the edge, and I couldn't quite recover from it. I don't know how exactly Nerf ended up failing, but probably something similar.
I didn't even get to try, just charged down too early. The goal there was to get another squeeze proxy right to the end. You can just go straight into the cage where the end of level guy is, but you won't be able to trigger the egg you need until you break the wall.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the end of level guy is essentially triggered by breaking that wall, where when you break that wall he enters a different mode where he will actually give the end of level egg. If you don't break that wall and you end up inside there, you're actually soft lock and need to exit the level, because you have no way of getting out anymore, and he'll just sort of sit in there and say, hey, help me out, they locked me in here.
Cyclone wants to know when he's live, by the way. I'm assuming that's because his run's next.
Is he after this?
I'd assume so.
I'm just going to finish this run and sort anything as far as that goes.
I don't think I got the, yeah. Oops, I forgot to get the end of the leg. I'll be re-entering, so I guess I can show off the proxy.
I'm trying to show off another proxy. Okay, cool. So that's what's called a head bash crate proxy. And I had to do that because I'm a fool and didn't really go out of that water tunnel very well.
Cool. Well, I did end up getting the strat, so
yeah,
that's one way to show it off.
It shows off that strat. And so now we're both going to be heading to the final boss. Me in a little bit longer because I need to go get this egg.
Oh, you don't get that before Haunted?
No, I normally do, I just forgot.
Yeah, this fight, you can get vehicle skips, which will pretty much be the deciding factor, given how close we are.
Mm-hmm.
Each one can save like 15, 20, around that. So it is kind of manipulatable, depending how fast you are able to land all the shots you need, which is 2, then 4, then 6 between phases, but it's also RNG, like which cannon the monkey wants to shoot down. But
yeah,
for the most part, like 70% I'd say it's like in your control. It's a pretty gruesome boss to have right at the end of a hour-long run because need a lot of precise shooting and luck.
Yeah, essentially if you don't get any vehicle skips, you're looking at losing like minimum of 30 seconds or so to if you get what we call a God Sorceress, which is getting all the vehicle skips possible.
Yeah, I did get 3 hits there, but unfortunately she was running around too much, so I won't be able to get the tank skip. It's still possible for me to get UFO skip, which is the more preferred one.
3 shots on the cannon, but Agent 9, which is where the RNG comes in, I just didn't get any extra cannon shot down.
Speaking of not strafing, by the way. Whoops. I got hit off.
Okay, so I don't think I'm going to get any vehicle skips here, which is unfortunate, but this was a decent fight for no vehicle skips.
Oh wow, okay, that's like the longest UFO skip I've ever seen. Extremely delayed. Time will be coming up for me. Now. So I'm not sure who won because we have delays, so...
You did. I'm still going.
Cool.
Was a very close race though. I think we've both gotten 58s, yeah.
Yeah.
So not bad. That was 100 egg. It was a very close race. It was quite cool.
A lot of stupid stuff went down, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Especially
It was a decent
considering
show.
none of us have like taken this seriously for a little bit.
In a very long time, yeah. So
I guess, was there anything you wanted to show off before we stop?
we're pretty much right on estimate anyway, so I guess not. We'll head to the next run. So we're gonna head off. I'm probably going to need a little bit of downtime to set up for the next run, but we'll be back shortly with what is next. Stand on 10 portals with Cyclone and Spyro 2. So we'll be right back.
The best category around.